A conversation about money, yes, but also your mindset, the power of small intentional changes, and what they really do over time. That financial peace is possible for more people than they actually know or realize. They happen most of the time very quietly through small little consistent choices that are repeated over and over and over again. Taking big, bold moves toward your financial freedom allows you to live the most truly abundant life.
We've all been there, feeling stuck in the grind, chasing that freedom we're aching to find. But what if the answer was clearer than you knew? With numbers and strategy, we'll walk you through. No more shame, no fear inside.
Welcome to Fearlessly Debt Free. I'm Lisa Marie Heinz, and I am looking forward to our conversation today. I am going to talk about something that is uplifting, hopefully encouraging. It's a conversation about money, yes, but also your mindset. I know we talk about that a lot, but also we're going to focus back on the power of small intentional changes and what they really do over time. And I think that many conversations around finances immediately feel heavy. And if you've been listening to me for a little bit, you know that that's a theme that we talk about every now and again because it's a feeling that I get when I speak with people. The minute the money word comes up, you may tense up emotionally because you're used to hearing it's more fear-based messaging as opposed to something that's uplifting and powerful. Maybe it's a shame-based message as well, or even maybe it's unrealistic advice that doesn't actually feel like it fits your life right now. Those are some of the things that we'll talk about. I just want it to be something that is more of an uplifting conversation and a possibility for you to take a deep breath. And when I say take a deep breath, you feel a little bit of stress relief come away from you. Maybe your shoulders settle down a bit. Maybe it's something that you can physically feel when you take that deep breath. And I want this conversation, I want all my conversations, not just this one, to feel very hopeful, very practical, and again, very encouraging because I personally and absolutely believe that financial peace is possible for more people than they actually know or realize. And I think the conversations that I have when I first start to talk with somebody who may not know me, from the beginning of our conversation until the end of our conversation, there is that moment of, oh my gosh, I can actually do this. Or you hear it in the voice, you hear the stress, maybe there are tears. I've had so many conversations, and when I come here, I like to express to you because I know that you're not alone if those are some of the feelings that you're having. Also, to flip that whole message and to let you know that the conversations do turn positive, even when they feel so overwhelming. And one thing that I've noticed over the years is the underestimating of how much the emotional energy that we carry around the finances is that big. So we've really got to think about that each and every day and ask yourself those questions. How much emotion am I putting between my finances and what's lining up in my life? We're going to talk about that. And even though that there are so many things that might be functioning well. Maybe you work really hard. Maybe you're raising amazing families. Maybe you're having your rough days with your families or your children, or maybe you're taking care of everybody else, but you're still in the background carrying some financial pressure. And that could be surmounting to bigger and bigger issues as you go forward. And there's again that big correlation between what we carry in stress and how it affects our body and how it affects our mind and our sleep and all the things. So we definitely want to realize how much it is actually affecting us because we can't see what's down the road until we admit it or we face it. So what's interesting is that there are studies that continue to show that financial stress is one of the leading causes of the anxiety in America today. And there are huge percentages of how many people are feeling those stresses. But instead of looking at it in a negative way, I think it's actually a reminder that people, they deeply desire peace and security and freedom and stability. And maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, that's me. I do desire all of those things. And those are really beautiful things to desire and to have in your life, and you can have them. And I was recently thinking about how easy it is for our life to move, and it goes fast, fast, fast. And they say as we get older, it goes faster. Yeah, it does. So to be more intentional and to live in a place where you're reacting to the things that you want in a positive way instead of reacting to the things that you want in a negative way. So you can take action or you can react. So we really want to see that there's a difference between those two words and the action and the intention that comes behind that. We get really, really busy. We get tired. Maybe you're distracted. I don't know. Anybody else distracted? I get distracted. I sit at my desk sometimes and I look back and I'm thinking, what in the world did I just get done? Because we're in so many different positions and so many different things are popping on the phone or popping on the computer. Or even last night, I was doing something and I thought to myself, what was I just doing? And I didn't realize it until this morning what I was actually doing and didn't get done because I get distracted. So again, you think about the juggling and the distraction, and it's such a big part of our lives. And we're just trying to keep up with the schedules. I know I am. The obligations, maybe you have tons of obligations and maybe you write things on the calendar and maybe you don't and you forgot. Oh my goodness, when I completely forgot about that or I spaced that. So write it down. There's the message for that. Maybe you're a working family and you've got to drop the kids off at daycare or drop the kids off at school and run to work, and you're trying to figure out all the schedules, and then you don't figure on the traffic. So things get to be really stressful. Or maybe it's rising costs. So you're doing all the great things, but then there are all the different things that continue to keep us in that place of, oh my goodness, what's happening? And before you know it, you look back, months go by, maybe even years go by, and they can pass by very, very fast. So we have to ask ourselves, is what I'm doing right here, right now, lining up with all the things and all the desires that I want in my life and what I want to create for myself? Because I like to say, we are in control. And yeah, maybe it consists of making some big changes sometimes. I can think back, and we sold our big, big house. It was to a point where we didn't need the size of the home. And instead of using it as a negative thing, paying out so much money per month for a home that we really weren't using all that space, I looked at it as, oh my goodness, we are right sizing. We're not downsizing, we're right sizing. Kids have all grown up and they've moved out on their own. And it was just a really smart financial decision to make. And it's already been 8 years that we've made that decision. But that came at a time where we had everything laid out in front of us and we looked at all over the situation and we thought, what is going to serve our needs in our situation best? And that was a hard decision. We loved our home. We put a lot of heart in it. We built it from ground up and had a lot of memories in that home. But you know what? We moved and it was okay. And it made such a big difference. And it wasn't easy, but we did it and it's great. And honestly, I think that some of the things that we go through, we all have gone through them at some point in our lives. And it's not always easy, but again, we can do it. And we talk about how we can do things and we can make moves, and we can make those moves not thinking about them in a perfection word. Don't think about doing things perfectly, but to move into action. And at this point in time, I'll tell you this. I know that when it gets time to make a move and time to make a shift, sometimes we get so distracted we don't do it. We don't take the time to step back and look. But I can say that in my experience, I know for myself and for others that we spend so much time planning a vacation or planning the next party that we're having. We spend more time doing that in some cases. We think of big events like weddings or anniversaries that are big milestones. Lots of planning goes into that, lots of time. And the other thing we do most of the time is we reach out to experts and the people that have done it before so that we can figure out what's going to be the best and line up for what we actually want. And that's the question. What do you want? And to take the time to look into that. It's about the awareness. It's about the direction. And I even remember sitting down years and years ago with notebooks and vision boards and writing out the dreams and the goals that we had for our family and for our future. And yeah, it took time, but it was really so amazing to do what I call brain dumps. Grab a notebook and just write it all out and just be in a quiet place to do that. Maybe, I don't know, go sit at the beach or go sit somewhere, go sit in your car somewhere with the music off, the phone off, and just dump your brain, everything that's in your brain. And I know it's a little difficult at first, but here, I promise you, take out the notebook, grab the pen, put the pen on the page, and sit there and just start writing. And whatever comes out, you just write it all out and see what those thoughts are and what those dreams that you are thinking about. See where they pop up on the page. Some of us have dreams that maybe were financial or maybe are financial. But for me, some were financial, they sure were. But many of them were emotional too. I wanted peace. Who doesn't want peace? I wanted to have breathing room. Another example about, let's see, it was probably 2020. So what, 6 years ago, I made another big decision and it was a career change. And gosh, that was a big deal too. But it was a time when I just sat down, took some deep breaths, and really looked at the picture of what my life was. I stepped back and I made a decision and made a big change. And I love that I made the change and happy to be where I am today. But I wanted mostly flexibility. Do you want flexibility? I wanted to feel like my decisions were building towards something that was very meaningful, and not only for me, of course not, it was for me and my husband and our family, instead of constantly feeling like I was trying to keep up or just put on the blinders. So this life is one life. We're here for a breath of time. And what I've learned over the years and over that time is that transformation really happens in big, huge, dramatic ways or moments. They happen most of the time very quietly through small little consistent choices that are repeated over and over and over again. And that comes again with the consistency, but it also comes with the discipline. But you can't do any of those things unless you actually know where you're going. So that could entail some of the things that we talk about, even with coaching sessions and with putting yourself on that track to do and line you up with what exactly matters to you. And that's actually one of the most encouraging things about your personal growth and, of course, your financial growth as well. You don't have to change everything overnight. And I say that message over and over and over again. The common clause is always about Rome wasn't built in a day. And you just need to know that when you start, you take those small intentional decisions and those small intentional steps, that they'll matter more than you could ever realize. If you make a small shift in your awareness, you can create a completely different outcome over time. And over time is the key. You've got to set yourself up, got to put the plan in place, but over the time is with those consistent moves that makes that big difference. And that's not only true with your finances, it's not only true with the desires of what you want for your future, but it shows up with your health and your relationships and your mindset, all of it. It's a whole nucleus of what you want in your life. You're taking those tiny little steps consistently. They have incredible power. And when you give them enough time. This episode is brought to you by Fearlessly Debt Free. Do you have great income, but the debt just doesn't seem to be going down fast enough? Just know that you are not alone. At Fearlessly Debt Free, I help people just like you pay everything off. Credit cards, loans, even mortgages, in half to a third of the time, for half to a third of what you owe. And no, this isn't budgeting, it's not debt consolidation or bankruptcy. It's math, it's strategy, and it's automatic. And it works. How would it feel to be completely debt-free and to start building incredible wealth much, much faster? Schedule your free Debt to Wealth discovery call today at fearlessly.debtfree.com and take your next steps fearlessly. I think you'll agree that you want to celebrate them. You will see big shifts and big changes. You got to celebrate the little ones too. The facts that I see that people are truly becoming more aware today is a huge bonus. It's a huge applause, because what we talked about years ago, where it wasn't good to talk about money, and the awareness of where you are today and staying in that community and having those conversations, things can happen, yes, slowly over time, but also quickly. Change in the attitude, change in the vision, change in the expectation. More people are asking questions, and I love that. There are more people learning about budgeting, and I don't often use the word budgeting in a way to make it feel heavy or, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, I'm budgeting, but in a way to make your life better so that you know exactly. It's more like a diary, right? You know exactly where everything is going. You know what's coming in, you know what's going out, and you have a handle on these expenses that maybe are happening in the background that you're not aware of. You've got debt strategies. The strategies that I use are mind blowing, and I'll never stop saying that because it blows my mind every time. You've got investment strategies, and of course, we talk about the intention of speaking to a financial advisor, somebody who's a professional in that field, so that they can give you the best advice moving forward and to make sure that they line up with the things that you want for yourself. Many professionals out there, and when I talk to a client, I can say we've got people with the same debt, and we can ask 10 different advisors and 10 different professionals and 10 different coaches what's the best route to take, and you'll get 10 different answers. So everything is very, very personalized. It's based on what it is that you need and you want and what you're seeking. You've got intentional spending going on, and as a result, you've got financial wellness. It feels so good to say financial wellness, to be well in your financial sector and to know all of those things. And that's really positive. Years ago, we were taught again not to talk about it, but today we want to talk about it. I want to encourage it, make it a normal conversation. Even though when I talk to people, it's completely confidential. Nobody would ever know that I've got the clients I've got because I'll never tell them. But we can talk about some of the stories and some of the examples, because to know that we're not alone is really powerful as well. You start the conversations that are healthy around the finances, yes, but to make them an empowering conversation instead of the opposite, which could be shameful. And I love that shift because it creates that confidence. And we talk about the discovery, and I don't know, I think about discovery, going on a hunt and going and finding and seeking, and you find a treasure chest. Oh my gosh, that's a hard one to say. A treasure chest, and you discovered it. Oh my goodness, what's in the treasure chest? And you pop it open, and lo and behold, there's all kinds of great treasures, but there could be some things in there that could be changed or could be switched out for something else that could bring on a whole different light. One thing I often encourage people to do is to simply begin to pay attention and do that without your judgment. And once more, I'll say, if you've listened to me in the past or have heard of any of the messages I've said before, it's always without judgment, not looking at your finances with that heavy, shameful fear, but to become aware and become curious to find out exactly what's going on. Lots of balls in the air and lots of things are moving. Sometimes we're surprised by how much peace comes just from getting organized and just understanding where you stand, where things stand, and having that clear, crystal clear picture. And that's even before you make any major changes. Nothing. You just become clear. Nothing that you're doing in a financial focus yet until that clarity comes. And that often you of any type of stress just from the get-go and not having that cloud hanging over you. Studies, they've shown that people who regularly check in with their finances, could it be every day, every week, they often become much less stressed out, because over time you're not wondering. There's no emotional pressure because you know what's going on. And then when we avoid the things, they often feel bigger and they feel scarier than they actually are. But when we gently face them, we usually realize that it's no big deal. Okay, we've got this. Have far more possibilities in that focus than you actually thought. You've got options that you might not be aware of. And that's powerful. You give yourself the power when you find those things out. I also think about, these are really important things to remember, and that is your financial freedom. It looks very, very different than everybody else. This is all about you, your individual. It's a place for us to really take that knowledge and to understand that we can make a change, but it's our change, and it may look very, very different than your neighbor or somebody else that you talk to. And maybe it's eliminating all your debt, and you have that possibility that you didn't know you had, because it is possible. I can tell you that. For others, it means maybe building your savings, or perhaps creating flexibility, or just reducing the stress. If you do nothing else, it'll reduce your stress. It could be, I can finally breathe again. Maybe you have that thought too. And I honestly love that, because there's not a one size fits all across the board. It's everybody's different. It's everybody's definition of success being unique to them. And what really matters most is the support of your financial situation. It may begin with reaching out to somebody else and having them help you to really align what you're doing with your values and your goals and what you truly want in this life and what you truly want to experience. I think that this is where the intentionality becomes incredibly powerful. Every single dollar that we spend is connected to your choices, your habits, your priorities, and your emotions. As much as I wish I could say take away the emotion and don't make it an emotional conversation or an emotional thought, it does. It has bearing on that. Doesn't mean that we can never enjoy life again if it comes to the point where we want to start to live a healthier lifestyle when it comes to your finances. It just means that things that we're doing are being done with the focus of lining up. I never, ever, ever, ever want people to feel like you're creating a place where you have a life that's changed so much you lose yourself. Because removing the financial mess and making it more of a financial piece, it means that you're putting yourself in a place where you find joy again. You find the way that you can sustain a joy-filled life, because the opposite of living in a life where you have nothing or you do nothing or you feel like things aren't good, that's not sustainable at all. I believe it's about alignment. So you're aligning yourself with the things you want, with the things that you do. And it's all about making those decisions so that it supports both your present life and your future life. And you can do that all at the same time. One thing that I've learned is that people often become discouraged because they think that the progress should happen faster. Do you feel that way? Oh gosh, I should have been further along than I am now. Or you might be looking at a situation and you did take a deep dive into your finances and you're like, man, what is this all about? So you do become aware, but the real transformation usually happens gradually. And once you have that starting point, you think about the guy on the starting line when he's ready to take that race, you can move a lot faster. You can know too that once you look at your financial situation, it also helps to become healthier. You become in a place where you're building strength, even physically. It's crazy. It's wild. You don't wake up in the morning and then suddenly everything is different. No, no, no. It's a repeated effort. The consistency of that effort, the intentional choices over time that eventually create the breakthrough. And I want you to imagine the breakthrough. Think about just breaking through it and having an opportunity to say, okay, I'm breaking through. Here's my starting point. Let's book out the plan and see what that looks like and be consistent, and then celebrate the wins along the way. Your finances, they work exactly the same as everything else. So you've got your momentum. It builds little by little. And I think that there's something really hopeful about it, because it means that your future is not determined only by where you are today. You have that hope. Your future is shaped by the choices that you begin making as you are moving forward. And that's empowering. And I say the word empowering all the time because I want you to feel empowered. It means that no matter where you are, that you are in a place of a start, and then there's room to grow, there's room to improve. You're learning along the way. I don't know, maybe sometimes in your life you've had situations happen, and if you step back and can say, oh my goodness, look at how much I learned from this situation. And that's progress. Pat yourself on the back. You talk about the concepts that you could have, and that's amazing. And there are tons of concepts out there. There are so many. But what I want to tell you right now is that with doing a little bit of research to prepare for today, I came across a binder, and it was a financial binder from 30 years ago. And I'm going to have to put my glasses on to do this because I can't see. I can't see otherwise. But the binder was from 30 years ago, and it's a financial binder from a client, and it's all about preparing for your future and preparing for your retirement. And it says that on the first page, it says financial strategies for a successful retirement. And then there are 9 main reasons why people fail to capitalize on their retirement years. And let me tell you what the first one is. The first one is procrastination. There you have it. Procrastination. The second one is unprepared for social changes. Are you prepared for social changes right now? So this was 30 years ago. So you know what? Things don't really change too much. The third is failure to clearly define retirement objectives. And if I've not said it enough, retirement is a thing, and you'd be blessed and happy to get to the retirement age healthy and moving and shaking and ready to move on to a fun retirement. But if you don't clearly define what your retirement objectives are, that could run into trouble. The fourth one is to ignore what money must do to help accomplish these objectives. So you have to know what money can do for you, but you have to start moving in that way to make those things happen. Number 5 is failure to understand and apply our tax laws, and you should be working with not only a financial advisor when it gets to that point, or you are currently, and your tax advisor at the same time, and your attorney, I'd say your trusts and your wills and things like that, so that everybody's on the same page and that you understand it. You should always understand when you're investing what that looks like and how that's working. And if you don't understand what your investments are doing and you have somebody that you're working with, reach out to them. They'll be happy to explain it. Number 6, failure to make the best use of retirement income sources. So there's some strategies out there that you should max out certain things, and before you do this, make sure you do that. So to understand those income sources, because you could be leaving a lot of money on the table, and we go back to our professionals that can help you with that. The number 7 is failure to prepare for the unexpected. Emergency fund, and there's some standards out there as well, and you should have a couple of months of your income put aside in an emergency fund in the event that something should happen. And without having those emergency funds, you could put yourself in a pickle. Maybe you're listening to this right now thinking, oh my gosh, I can barely put what I have to use and I run out of the money before the month runs out. So there are some strategies to do that as well. Number 8, worrying about who gets what and when. And that's more about retirement, the future, when it all comes into fruition. There could be gap years, meaning that your income needs to be kicked up a little bit before things happen in your retirement sector of your life. So there could be a gap where you have to bring in some more income to make that happen, or do a few things in order to make it work to the best advantage possible. And failure to develop a winning attitude. Oh my gosh, this was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And look at this binder, and it's a thick binder, boy, let me tell you what, I've only had a chance to look at a couple pages. There's so many strategies that we could work with, and there's so many things that we can do. For me personally, I always want to encourage anybody who's listening who may feel behind financially, don't spend years criticizing yourself for the things that you wish you could have done, or look back and say, oh my goodness, think about what today is, and think about where you can go from today. And maybe it's to sit down and have a conversation, do a discovery call with me without beating yourself up. Be positive, give yourself some grace, and work on having that clarity and those intentional actions so that you can truly move forward to have the financial peace that you deserve. So I just want to encourage you today again and let you know that you're not here by accident. You're listening and hopefully you're learning. And I'm going to encourage you to take that first step today. Maybe it's just to comb through your finances and to start to look at what's going on financially each and every week. Maybe it's to start that financial diary. Maybe it's to just have a better attitude about taking a deep breath and thinking about, okay, this is important. I know that if things are important in my life, I'm going to make time for them. And this should be an important thing in your life, to make time for it so that you can set yourself up for the success that you deserve and that you desire. So that is my message for you today. I want to thank you so much for joining me here at Fearlessly Debt Free, where remember, taking big, bold moves toward your financial freedom allows you to live the most truly abundant life. Thanks for joining in. Bye.
Without the fear, you're not alone. We've got your back. Rewriting your story, getting life on track. Your money, your terms, your freedom to claim. Enjoy this journey, no more